Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to my stream. I am going to be working on my QuickBooks Online certification again today. So, if that sounds appealing to you, stay tuned and let's get started. So, let's shift over to view what I am looking at on my screen. All right, there we go. So, we're already logged into QuickBooks Online Accountant. So, I'm just going to go over to training. Go over to where I left off, which is supporting your small business clients. I also forgot to open up my business documentation notes, so I'm just going to open this up over here. No real notes right now. Let's see. And let's get started. So, we will resume over here, where we left off, which is number 4, estimates and purchase orders. So let's get started over here. Okay. Estimates and purchase orders. The story so far. With some coaching on basic workflows, Chris has thrived and business is great, but he's called you up to ask for some help with a new workflow that he wants to use. This week, Chris met with an important new commercial customer who is looking to have a new generator installed. This is a big job for Chris, and the customer has asked him to provide an estimate of the job to submit to the company's board of directors for approval. How can QuickBooks Online help? As Chris's trusted ProAdvisor, you're happy to help and really pleased he's happy to touch base and get some coaching before he dives in and you get that phone call when things haven't worked as they should. Let's walk him through how he can use estimates as part of his business and then how to use those hard-won estimates to order work materials for jobs and eventually to invoice when the work is done. Learning outcomes. In this lesson, you'll learn how to 1. Recognize how to utilize estimates, and 2. Recognize how to convert an estimate to a purchase order. Topics covered will include estimates and how to use them, creating an estimate, using an estimate to create a purchase order, converting an estimate to an invoice, and ProAdvisor challenge. So let's continue the lesson. Estimates and how to use them. So let's review this video.
Estimates are non-posting transactions. They're simply an offer to a customer, indicating how much a defined set of products and/or services will cost. Estimates are often required when working with bigger customers, when bidding for state and federal contracts, or when working with any other company that invites bids and tenders. When your clients record estimates in QuickBooks Online, they can track the progress of their sales. Estimates can also save time because all of the detail can be transferred to purchase orders to order goods from vendors and to invoices to bill for the work. Converting information from an estimate to a purchase order provides a quick and easy way to order products and services from vendors. This is a great workflow because all the transactions are linked to the same original estimate. This saves time because clients using this workflow don't have to manually re-enter information over and over when they create the purchase order. QuickBooks Online copies the information over automatically, and, of course, this is true when an invoice needs to be created. Once the goods or services on the purchase order are delivered, the details can be added to a bill, check, or expense at the click of a button. And after the job is completed, the details from the estimate can be added to an invoice, saving loads of time in the billing process. When the invoice is saved, the amounts will then appear as posted transactions in the financial reports.
Okay, perfect. So let's continue with this lesson. Creating an estimate. Chris has priced the estimated labor and material costs for a new contract he is bidding for all city library, and he's ready to create the estimate in QuickBooks Online. Let's see how it's done. The steps are here for you to follow. Changes in the UI may not be reflected in the video. So 1. Open the Sales Center by selecting Sales in the left navigation, then select All Sales from the left navigation. 2. Select the New Transaction button at the top right of the screen and select Estimate. Okay. 3. Select the Customer All City Library from the Customer drop-down menu. 4. Enter tomorrow as the estimate date and date in 2 weeks' time as the expiration date. In the Products Services grid, enter the following. 1. Commercial generator, 8 hours of installation labor. Miscellaneous items cost amounting to $295. Select Save and Send. 7. Preview the estimate in the send email screen, and it gets cut off over here. So let's review the video now.
Open the Sales Center by selecting Sales in the left navigation. Then select All Sales from the left navigation. Select the New Transaction button at the top right of the screen and select Estimate. Select the Customer All City Library from the Customer drop-down menu. Enter tomorrow as the estimate date and a date in 2 weeks' time as the expiration date. In the Product Services grid, enter the following. 1 commercial generator, 8 hours of installation labor, miscellaneous item costs amounting to $295. Select Save and Send. Preview the estimate in the Send Email screen. Select Send and Close.
All right, perfect. So, and let's see if you could take a look at that. All sales. Let's see how that was done again.
Open the Sales Center by selecting Sales in the left navigation. Then select All Sales from the left navigation. Select the New Transaction button at the top right of the screen and select Estimate.
Estimate. Okay, perfect. Let's continue with the lesson. Using an estimate to create a purchase order. So the first one was creating an estimate. Now, using an estimate to create a purchase order. So we'll review the steps and then move on to the video. So, great news. All City Library has accepted Chris's estimate. Now he needs to change the status of the estimate to accepted and order the generator needed for the job from his supplier. Let's see how it's done. The steps are shown below for you to follow. Open the Customer Center by tapping on Sales, then Customers from the left navigation bar. Select the estimate box in Money bar. All City Libraries estimates will be displayed. Okay. Let's read that again. Open the Customer Center. Okay. Select 1 Open Estimate in the Open Estimates column, and then select Estimate number 1001 to open the estimate screen. Select the down arrow next to Pending and change the status to Accepted. Select the down arrow next to Create Invoice and select Copy to Purchase Order. Select OK when pop-up appears. On the purchase order screen, select Lang & Sons Electrical Supply from the vendor drop-down list. Select All City Library in the customer field. Type standard shipping, please, in the your. Okay, so let's review the video.
Open the Customer Center by tapping on Sales, then Customers from the left navigation bar. Select the Estimate box in the Money bar. All City Libraries estimate will be displayed. Select 1 Open Estimate in the Open Estimates column, and then select Estimate number 1001 to open the estimate screen. Select the down arrow next to Pending and change the status to Accepted. Select the down arrow next to Create Invoice and select Copy to Purchase Order. Select OK when the pop-up appears. On the purchase order screen, select Lang & Sons Electrical Supply from the vendor drop-down list. Select All City Library in the customer field. Type standard shipping please in the Your Message to the Vendor box. Select Save and Send to send the purchase order to the vendor. Once the generator is received from the vendor, Chris can add the purchase order to a bill, check, or expense depending on how he'd like to pay for it. Chris is going to pay for the generator using an expense transaction, so let's see how this is done. Select Expenses, then Vendors from the left navigation bar. Select the blue Purchase Order box in the Money bar. Find the purchase order for Lang & Sons and select the down arrow next to Create Bill in the Action column. Then select Create Expense. The expense screen will open and be pre-filled with the vendor's name. Enter the payment date and select Add from the drawer on the right-hand side of the screen to add the details of the purchase order to the expense. Select Save and Close.
All right, let me see that. Want to review that once again.
Select Save and Send to send the purchase order to the vendor. Once the generator is received from the vendor, Chris can add the purchase order to a bill, check, or expense, depending on how he'd like to pay for it. Chris is going to pay for the generator using an expense transaction, so let's see how this is done. Select Expenses, then Vendors from the left navigation bar. Select the blue Purchase Order box in the Money bar. Find the purchase order for Lang & Sons and select the down arrow next to Create Bill in the Action column. Then select Create Expense. The expense screen will open and be pre-filled with the vendor's name. Enter the payment date and select Add from the drawer on the right-hand side of the screen to add the details of the purchase order to the expense. Select Save and Close.
Okay. Just trying to get a firm understanding of that. So let's continue with the lesson. Converting an estimate to an invoice. Chris has completed the installation of the generator, and it's time to bill all city library. Watch the video to see how it's done, and the steps are listed below for you to follow. Select Sales, then Customers from the left navigation. Select the Estimate tile in the Money bar. Select Start Invoice in the Action column for all city library. Select the invoice date and set the due date for the payment as 2 weeks from then. From the drawer on the right-hand side of the screen, select Add under Estimate number 1001. Select Total All Estimates line $34,075, and then select Copy to Invoice. Select Save and Close, and that's it. Chris has completed the entire sales workflow for the All City Library job. Way to go. So let's review the video. Oh, hey, old dirty bastard. Dasher. How's it going? Sorry, I didn't see you over there. You're like on the side of my other monitor. Welcome. Thank you for showing up. How have you been? So, let's see.
Select Sales, then Customers from the left navigation. Select the Estimate tile in the Money bar. Select Start Invoice in the Action column for all city library.
No, I missed that. 1 sec.
Left navigation. Select the Estimate tile in the Money bar. Select Start Invoice in the Action column for all city library. Select the invoice date and set the due date for the payment as 2 weeks from then. From the drawer on the right-hand side of the screen, select Add under Estimate number 1001. Select Total of all estimate lines equals $34,075. Then select Copy to Invoice. Select Save
Let me
under
look at that again.
Select right-hand side of the as 2 weeks from then.
Okay.
From the drawer on the right-hand side of the screen, select Add under Estimate number 1001. Select Total of all estimate lines equals $34,075. Then select Copy to Invoice. Select Save and Close. And that's it. Chris has completed the entire sales workflow for the All City Library job. Way to go.
All right. Perfect. Now, let me look at that one more time. Let's make sure I got a firm grasp of what's going on.
Chris is complete and close. And that Copy to Invoice.
Okay. Got it. All right. So let's continue moving on.
Save and Close. And that's it. Chris has completed the entire sales workflow for the All City Library
Continue
job.
lesson.
Way to go.
Okay, lesson check. Which 3 of these statements is true of estimates in QuickBooks Online? Estimates are posting transactions? No. I'm pretty sure that's not true. So how's everything with you, old dirty dasher? Still doing food delivery, Grubhub? Estimates of non-posting entries. estimates data can be used to create a purchase order in QuickBooks Online, and estimate data can be used to create an invoice in QuickBooks Online. Check answer. That's correct. Estimates are non-posting transactions. They can be converted to invoices once they are accepted and the work is done or the services is provided. And of course, invoices are posting transactions. Estimate data can be copied across to create a purchase order in QuickBooks Online. This saves time and is a great workflow to teach clients. Okay. ProAdvisor Challenge. For our ProAdvisor Challenge, we'd like you to create an estimate in Craig's Landscaping. Select the headings to find out more. Okay. Go to Craig's file here. Okay, let's go to Craig's file. Create an estimate. Okay. Oh, I guess I messed up last time. I had a other ProAdvisor challenge in the past, but I couldn't figure out how to do it. But let's see. Okay, so this opens up our accountant view of Craig's design and landscaping services as a client. So create an estimate. I believe you go here. All sales, new transactions, estimate, customer, Greta, oops. Gita, okay, Gita Kapulim. I think that's correct. Okay, that's it. All right, perfect. Product 2 times fountain pumps. Product 2x fountain pump. This is it. 2x, quantity 2. Services installation. So we'll add that over here. Service installation. And that's going to be 3 times. Set tax rate for California, 8%. Okay. No. California, 8%. I do old Dirty Dasher. I haven't been able to do that many deliveries as of late. As I had this shared in past videos, I've got this new job that's about an hour and a half drive on a bad day. So it's already been putting a lot of miles on my car. And right now I'm just focused on getting some other stuff done, getting the work done, learning the new job. And then on my free time, I'm working on other things, like working on this online certification. But that said, I'm not completely quitting it. It's just kind of been put aside for now. I hope once I am fully acclimated to my new role, it means I've been there for a couple months now. You would think that I should be fully acclimated, but it's not the case. But once I'm fully acclimated, once I got all my other side stuff completed, I want to kind of circle back to doing more food deliveries. I do them once in a while, but it'd be maybe a one-off while I'm driving back home from my job. So not so much these days, but I kind of want to get back to it. But back to this. Then go back and find the estimate in the sales center. Okay. So save. I guess save and close. Save and send. Save. What's not right? Something's not right. Okay. Let's take a look over here. ProAdvisor tip. Okay, I did that. Did that. Save and send. It's not working for whatever reason. Okay. What did I miss? Select the new transaction button at the top right of the screen. Select estimate. Okay. Enter tomorrow. Okay, I forgot to put the date. Let's go back here. Doesn't say that, but okay. So enter tomorrow as the estimate date. So let's put tomorrow. Save and send. Okay, still not working. Let's see. Estimate. No, where am I? And 2 weeks from now as expiration date. Okay. Save and send. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is not working. And the product grid 2x fountain pumps and 3 times. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is not working, but we're just going to move on. Continue lesson. Okay. Summary, learning outcomes. Well done. In this lesson, you have learned how to recognize, how to utilize estimates. Recognizes, and number 2, recognize how to convert an estimate to a purchase order. In the next lesson, you'll look at credit memos, a way to record credit against a customer's accounts payable. So let's move on to the next lesson. Let's zoom out. I want to see how long this lesson is going to take. Estimated time, 10 minutes. Okay, so let's get started. Credit memos. The story so far. A few days after working with Chris on his estimate workflow, you get another call from him. Chris's customer, Jeffrey Jacobs, hired Chris to install a new light fixture in his house. Chris installed the light and created Invoice 1003, which included $49.95 for the light and $85 for the fixture. Mr. Jacobs promptly paid Chris by check for the service and parts. About a week later, Chris received a call from Mr. Jacobs, who told him that the light fixture was not working properly and asked for a replacement. Chris explained that the model he had in stock was slightly different from the one that was installed earlier, but that luckily it was the same price. He said he'd fit the replacement straight away, which he did. He needs to know how to record this in QuickBooks Online file so that the customer's accounts payable gets a credit that can be applied to the next invoice. Chris also needs to show the customer what has happened by finding some way of detailing the payments and showing what the credit has been recorded, or showing that the credit has been recorded. How can QuickBooks Online help? Sooner or later, all clients will come across an issue with a service or product that the customer isn't happy with. Credit memos in QuickBooks Online allow you or your clients to allocate credits to customers so that next time they are invoiced, the credit can be applied. There's even a way to set this up to happen automatically. You can also create a customer statement to show this has been done. Let's see how we can create a credit memo for Chris. Note that this method is just reducing accounts receivable. It's not refunding cash to the customer. For that, you'd issue a refund receipt. Okay. Topics covered, learning outcomes. In this lesson, you'll learn how to recognize how to utilize credit memos. Topics covered include why use credit memos, create a credit memo, and apply it to a customer invoice, customer statements, ProAdvisor challenge. Continue lesson. All right. Why use credit memos? When a client is working on creating credit memos, they may have questions. Here are some common ones you might need to answer. Select the question to find out more. Why use a credit memo instead of just editing the transaction? It's not best practice to change transactions once they had been sent to a customer. This can cause confusion and isn't great record keeping. This is especially true when the original invoice is in a prior period, because making a change will cause books to become out of balance with the tax return and change previously reported amounts. Okay. Why not just bill for less on the next invoice? It is important to create a new transaction in QuickBooks Online for each exchange between the supplier and the customer. This provides clarity to the timing and sequence of events with a customer. It can also affect the timing and balance of sales tax liabilities and movement of inventory in and out of the company. All right. Why not just refund in cash and not record? It is important to capture all transactions, paid in cash or not, to ensure the client's records are complete. If you pay the customer back in cash and don't record the transaction, you will pay sales and income taxes on the sales transaction and receive no benefit of the return transaction deduction. Okay. Can QuickBooks Online apply credits automatically? Yes. In the Advanced tab of Accounts and Settings, you can select a checkbox that will tell QuickBooks Online to automatically apply credits to existing new customer invoices. Auto apply is great for clients who have simple accounts receivable, for instance, just a few invoices per customers. Use it with caution with clients who have higher volume or more complex accounts receivable workflows. All right, so let's continue with the lesson. And actually, let's go back up because I want to see that picture. So it's right here. Okay. Moving on with the lesson. Create a credit memo and apply it to a customer invoice. Let's show Chris how to record a credit memo and then apply it to a new installation invoice. Watch the video to see how it's done. The steps are also here for you to follow. So I'm going to read the steps and then watch the video. First, Chris will need to create a credit memo for the damaged light fixture. 1, select the plus new button, then credit memo. Okay. Select Jeffrey S. Jacobs as the customer. Select other miscellaneous materials as the products and service in quantity 1 and rate $49.95 for the malfunctioning light fixture. Select save and close. Next, Chris will need to create a new invoice for the new light fixture. Okay. In the plus new button, select invoice. Select Jeffrey S. Jacobs in the customer list. Add a new product item, Avalon light fixture. It's one item at $49.95. Next, Chris will need to manually, and it gets cut off over here for whatever reason. So we'll just watch the video now.
First, Chris will need to create a credit memo for the damaged light fixture. Select the Create Plus icon, then Credit Memo. Select Jeffrey S. Jacobs as the customer. Select Other Miscellaneous Materials as a product service and quantity 1 and rate $49.95 for the malfunctioning light fixture. Select Save and Close. Next, Chris will need to create a new invoice for the new light fixture. In the Create Plus icon, select Invoice. Select Jeffrey S. Jacobs in the customer list. Add a new product item, Avalon light fixture. It's one item at $49.95. Next, Chris will need to manually apply the credit to the new invoice item.
See that again.
Avalon light. Select plus icon. Select invoice.
Okay. See it.
Select Jeffrey S. Jacobs in the customer list. Add a new product item, Avalon light fixture. It's one item at $49.95. Next, Chris will need to manually apply the credit to the new invoice unless he has automatically applied credits selected, in which case QuickBooks Online would prompt him to apply the existing credit memo to the new invoice. See the ProAdvisor tip at the end of the lesson for how to do this. To manually apply the credit, select the Create plus icon, then Receive Payment. Select Jeffrey S. Jacobs from the Customer drop-down list. Select Invoice number 1006 under the Outstanding Transactions and Credit Memo 1004 from the credits by checking the box next to each. Notice that QuickBooks only applies $32.35 of the credit to pay the balance of the invoice. Select Save and Close. Refund Receipts. In other cases, a customer may simply want their money back for a return. In this case, Chris would create a refund receipt. A refund receipt in QuickBooks reduces the client's cash balance rather than a customer's accounts receivable balance. Select the Create Plus icon, then Refund Receipt. Enter Bill Gallinger as a customer. Select the payment method, check, and refund from checking. Enter Avalon Light Fixture as a product service. Select Save and Close.
Okay, perfect. So let's move on with the lesson. Customer statements. When it comes to credits and refunds, customers may want a clear statement of where their account with a business stands and to make sure the credit has been applied. One easy way to do this is by creating a customer statement where their account with a business stands to make sure the credit has been applied. Go to the Sales menu and select Customers. Select the customer or customers you want to make statements for. In the Batch Actions drop-down, select Create Statements. In the Statement Type drop-down, select the type of statements you'd like to make. Different statement types are available to suit different situations. You can then select the date fields for the statement. For instance, you could show all historic transactions involving the customer or just this month. Select the tabs in turn to find out more. So balance forward. The customer statement type shows a list of invoices and payments with the balance for the date range selected. It's perfect for situations where a client wants to provide customers with a summary of what is still due on their account. Open items. With this customer statement, you can show a list of all open or unpaid invoices. Advise clients to use this when they want to provide detail of all unpaid invoices, unapplied payments, and credit memos for their customers. Okay, so balance forward is perfect for situations where a client wants to provide customers with a summary of what is still due on their account. Open item statement is good when they want to provide detail of all unpaid invoices, unapplied payments, and credit memos to their customers. Transaction statement. Need to help a client show a customer all the transactions between them and their business between two sets of dates. Then use the transaction statement. Clients might use this when there is a large volume of transactions for a customer so they can see how their payments have been applied. ProAdvisor tip. View statements you created by going to the Sales or Invoicing menu and selecting All Sales. Select the customer or customers you want to see statements for. Okay, Sales, Invoicing menu. Select the Filter drop-down menu, then in the Type drop-down, select Statements. Okay, continue lesson. Lesson check. Which of these options is true of using credit memos in QuickBooks Online? Use credit memos when refunding cash directly to the customer? No, that's not true. I forget what that was. Refund receipt, I think. But use a credit memo to credit a customer's accounts receivable account so that the credit can be applied to the next invoice. Maybe that's right. There's no way to automatically apply credits to the next invoice. That's wrong. Credit memos are not essential when customers paid in cash. So I think it's use a credit memo to credit a customer's accounts receivable balance so that the credit can be applied to the next invoice. Okay, that's right. Where a credit needs to be issued, the only correct option is to use a credit memo to credit a customer's accounts receivable balance so that the credit can be applied to existing open or future invoices. It's not to be used when refunding a cash to a customer, just for recording a credit to be actioned against the next invoice, and it should be used when payments are in cash, check, or any other method. There is a way to set up QuickBooks Online to automatically apply credits. More of this in a moment. ProAdvisor Challenge. Your client, Craig, has a problem, and this ProAdvisor Challenge requires you to help him with the following situation. Okay, Craig's customer, John Melton, hired Craig to do some design work for his front yard. Craig provided the work and billed John for 10 hours. Upon receiving the invoice, John called and told Craig that he thought the designer had only spent 4 hours working at his house. After some inquiries, Craig discovered that 6 hours had been incorrectly billed to John, and he would need to record a credit memo to reduce John's balance and close out the invoice. The challenge: can you record the credit memo for John? So let's open this up. You will need to run a statement to send to John so he can verify that his account has been credited and the invoice credit closed out. Use Craig's file at the link below to create a credit memo for 6 hours worth of design work for John Melton. Then create a bounce forward customer statement. So let's get started. I think we go here. Let's see. Guess not. Doesn't look like it's in here. Okay. Sales. All sales. Was in here. No, it's not in here. Is it under Is it under customers? Well, we are in customers. So I don't recall exactly how to do it, so we're going to have to follow the steps over here. Select sales, then all sales. Okay, so sales, all sales. Select new transaction and credit memo. Ah, okay. Credit memo. Select John Melton. John Melton. From the customer type, select design as a product service. Design right here. Enter 6 for quantity. 6. Select save and close. Okay, save and close. Why will this not save and close? I don't know why we keep encountering this issue. But anyway, we'll just, for in the interest of just moving along, we're going to just close out and assume that that got completed. Okay, so let's continue with the lesson. Summing up, learning outcomes. Well done. In this lesson, you have learned how to recognize how to utilize credit memos. Next steps, the next lesson, we'll look at how to create vendor credits in QuickBooks Online. And I'm going to go back because I want to see how to do those statements. So let's take a quick look at that. Sales, customers, type John Melton in the search. Where is the search? In here? John Melton. No, I don't think that's the search they were referring to. Customers. Oh, right here. John Melton. Select new transaction and top right then statement. Statement. Perfect. Select balance forward. Where is balance forward? Ah, cool. Very cool. Select apply. Where is apply? I don't see any applies. Select print or preview. I don't see any of that. Oh, right here. Print statement. See print statement. Click the print and select print. Click the print icon if you see one below. Okay. There we go. Awesome. Okay. So we're going to continue moving on to the next lesson. And this is probably going to be the last one that we're going to cover for today, since it's getting late. But let's continue plugging along. Okay. Oops. Got stuck, as it does some from time to time. Training. Vendor credits. Resume. Vendor credits. The story so far. Chris ordered 2 generators for a job he's doing for a construction company, but due to a delay, work could only go ahead to install one of the generators. Chris had no place to store it until the work could go ahead, so he decided to return the spare generator to the vendor. The vendor agreed to credit Chris's account for the returned generator, which he could always reorder later. He needs some coaching on how to record the credit in QuickBooks Online and make the payment for the generator he used. How can QuickBooks Online help? Vendor credits are a way of recording a credit to vendors' accounts payable so that the credit can be applied to an existing open bill or the next bill received from a particular vendor. It's very similar to the credit memo Chris recorded in the last lesson to credit a customer's accounts receivable account, but for vendor transactions. Let's cover the key principles before seeing how it works in action in Chris's files. Learning outcomes. In this lesson, you'll learn how to 1. Recognize how to utilize vendor credits. Topics covered. Vendor credit workflows, creating a vendor credit and ProAdvisor challenge. So let's continue with this lesson. Vendor credit workflows. Vendor credits are designed to account for returns of products or services or discounts received on account after a bill has been issued by a vendor and recorded in QuickBooks Online. For example, if Chris purchases some wire which is found to be faulty, the vendor will normally issue a credit to remove the expense of the faulty electrical wire. The vendor credit can be applied to an existing bill, held as open and applied to a future bill. Vendor credits post as a debit to decrease accounts payable. Note that, like credit memos, vendor credits can be automatically applied to existing open or future bills by selecting Automatically Apply Credits in the Advanced tab in Accounts and Setting in the Gear menu. And let's review the video over here.
There are 2 separate bills from the vendor, Lang & Sons, in the Expenses Center. One for each of the generators Chris ordered. Each was priced at $500. Sam at Lang & Sons agreed to credit when Chris returned the generator today, so we can go ahead and create the vendor credit in QuickBooks Online. Select the Create Plus icon. Select Vendor Credit under the vendor's heading. In the vendor credit screen, select Lang & Sons from the vendor dropdown. The date of the credit is today, so we can leave it as it is. Select Class G Generator from the Products and Services list under Item Details. Add a note explaining the credit.
I need to go back because I need to
credit when Chris
see how
returned the
that got
generator
done.
today.
So he went to
Generators Chris ordered.
expenses.
Each was priced at $500. Sam at Lang & Sons agreed to credit when Chris returned the generator today, so we can go ahead and create the vendor credit in QuickBooks Online. Select the Create Plus icon.
Create Plus.
Select
Vendor
Vendor
Credit.
Credit under the Vendor's heading. In the Vendor Credit screen, select Lang & Sons from the Vendor dropdown.
Lang & Sons.
The date of the credit is today, so we can leave it as it is. Select Class G Generator from the Products and Services list under Item Details. Add a note explaining the credit. The quantity is 1. Add the rate, which is $500, the credit amount, or the full price of the generator. Add the customer that the generator was ordered for, Jamie Sullivan. In the memo field, add Credit Issued by Sam. Select Save and Close. Back in the Expenses Center, we can see the original bills, plus the vendor credit. Now let's apply the vendor credit to a bill. Select Make Payment next to the first bill for the generator. This is the one Chris returned. If we scroll down, we can see that the vendor credit has already been applied to the total outstanding amount, $1,000 for 2 generators, reducing the amount payable to $500. Chris paid for the second generator by check, which he gave to Sam, so we can record this payment. Select Save and Close to record payment for the outstanding amount.
Okay, perfect. So let's move on to the next part of the lesson. Creating a vendor credit. Let's see how to record the vendor credit for Chris. Watch the video to see how it's done. The individual steps are below for you to follow. So first we're going to read the individual steps, and then we're going to watch the video. There are 2 separate bills from the vendor, Lang & Sons, in the expense center, one for each of the generators Chris ordered. Each was priced at $500. Sam at Lang & Sons agreed the credit when Chris returned the generator today. So we can go ahead and create the vendor credit in QuickBooks Online. Select the plus new button, select vendor credit under the vendor's heading. In the vendor credit screen, select Lang & Sons from the vendor dropdown. The date of the credit is today, so we can leave it as it is. Select the Class G generator from the products and service list under items details. Add a note explaining the credit. The quantity is 1. Add the rate, which is $500. The credit amount or the full price of something gets cut off. Add the customer that the generator was ordered for, James Sullivan. In the memo field, add credit issued by Sam. Select Save and Close. Back in the expense center, we can see the original bills plus the vendor credit. Now let's apply the vendor credit to a bill. Select Make Payment next to the first bill for the generator. This is the one Chris returned. If we scroll down, we can see that the vendor credit has already been applied to the total outstanding balance, $1,000 for 2 generators, reducing the amounts payable for $500. Chris paid for the second generator by check, which he gave to Sam, we can record this payment. So we can record this payment. Select Save. Sounds like the last video we just watched, but let's watch it and see.
There are 2 separate bills from the vendor, Lang & Sons, in the expenses center. One for each of the generators Chris ordered. Each was priced at $500. Sam at Lang & Sons agreed the credit when Chris returned the generator
Is this
today,
the same
so we can
video?
go ahead and create the vendor credit in QuickBooks Online.
47. Hold on a sec.
Select the Create Plus icon.
It's the same video.
Select Vendor Credit.
Okay, we already watched this. I don't know why we're watching it again. Lesson check. Which of the following statements is true of vendor credits in QuickBooks Online? Vendor credits cannot be applied to a bill that has already been received. I don't think that's true. Vendor credits post as a debit to accounts payable. Yeah, I think that's right. Vendor credits post as a debit to increase accounts payable. I don't think that's right. A vendor credit can be linked to a cash refund when the cash is deposited. I don't think that's right, but let's check. It's not right. Okay, so I was wrong. Let's see if these are the answers. No, that's not it. Okay, Start from the beginning. Which of the following statements is true of vendor credits in QuickBooks Online? Vendor credits post as a debit to... No. See if it's these two. Okay. Which of the following statements is true of vendor credits in QuickBooks Online? Vendor credits cannot be applied to a bill that has already been received. I don't think that's true. Vendor credits post as a debit to decrease accounts payable. Well, I think it eventually hits that, but let's take a look. Post as a debit. Okay. To decrease. Okay. That's true. This is not true. I don't think that's true, but apparently it might be true. Okay. A vendor credit can be linked to a cash refund when the cash is deposited. That's right. Vendor credits post as a debit to decrease accounts payable, and a vendor credit can be linked to a cash refund when the cash is deposited. Okay. So that's the answer. ProAdvisor Challenge. For our ProAdvisor Challenge, we'd like you to create a vendor credit in Craig's Design and Landscaping. The challenge: Craig ordered 8 fountain pumps for an installation for one of his customers. He only used 6 pumps in the installation and needs to return the remaining 2 pumps to his vendor, Norton Lumber and Building Materials, for a credit to reduce his bill and then pay it. Record the vendor credit Craig received in the file at the link below. Okay. So let's go. Sales. Customers. Where is that button? New customer, not new customer. You go away. Okay. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, so let's take a look at this. Press the plus button. I don't see any plus button to press. Where is this plus button? Overview. Dashboard. I do not see any plus button. Plus new button. Where is this plus new button that they're speaking of? Oh boy. I mean, I think this is just not right. Because I don't see any plus new button. Okay, so we're just going to skip that for now because I don't see it. But summing up, learning outcomes, well done. In this lesson, you learned how to recognize how to utilize vendor credits. ProAdvisor tip: vendor credits and refunds are tricky for end users and don't happen often enough for most users to really learn the workflows. So it's a good idea for ProAdvisors to refresh their clients from time to time on best bookkeeping practices for QuickBooks Online. So let's go back and see if we can figure that out.
On separate bills from the vendor, Lang & Sons, in the expenses center, one for each of the generators Chris ordered. Each was priced at $500. Sam at Lang & Sons agreed and Chris can go ahead 8 plus.
Okay, there's supposed to be a plus button up here, but I'm not seeing it. So let's go to expenses. Vendors. Expenses. Here, vendor credit. Okay. Okay, for who is this for? For one of his customers. Which customer? Okay. Select Norton Lumber. They don't even say which customer here. Oh no, they do right here. Okay. So Norton Lumber. Category was it fountain pumps? Where is this fountain pump? Okay. No. Okay. So let's go back here and see what it is. Item. Select item details to open the grid. Item details to open up the grid. Ah, right here. Okay. Pump. 2. For $10. Okay. Select save and close. That never works. Oh, it worked this time. It's a miracle. It's a Christmas miracle. Okay, let's take a look over here how they do it here.
Select screen is. The date of the credit is today, so we can leave it as it is. Select Class G, claiming the $100. Jamie, save and close. Let's apply the one Chris returned.
Okay, let's see what else we gotta do. Select plus button icon, then pay bills. Let's see what they do here.
If we scroll down to the total outstanding return to a bill, we can select save and close. Back in the expenses center, we can see the original bills plus the vendor credit. Now let's apply the vendor credit to payment next to the first already been applied to the total outstanding.
Okay, so next step is, according to this, it's to the challenge. ProAdvisor tip. Pay bills. Select the checkbox next to Norton Lumber and Buildings. Okay. Here. Make payment. Okay, perfect. Credit is applied. Select save. Save and close. Perfect, awesome. All right, so we legitimately were able to complete that, which is great. Okay, and that's probably going to be it for tonight. We're going to zoom out over here. We have several more to complete for this module, supporting your small business clients. It's getting late, so that's it for tonight. But everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you found this content to be useful and helpful in pursuits of your own QuickBooks Online certification / ProAdvisor, feel free to hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, and hit that like button. Until next time, guys, stay working hard, work smart, stay hustling, and have a good one. Bye.